This is the tutorial video for the Fast Finish Stripper Rewinder. This only covers the machine, not the setup of the labels. So the operator is sliding the core onto the scrap take-up. Now he's loading the roll of media onto the mandrel. This is where you can apply drag to the supply roll of the printed media. And the way you apply drag is you just twist or tighten the knobs on the end of the mandrel, and that will supply all the drag you need. Typically, you really don't need to supply much drag. This will just a little bit, because you don't want to fight against the rewinding system. Now, there's a couple of things to note. On the supply mandrel, you will notice that there's a stop pin you want to keep in the center. So by loosening and tightening the end knobs on that mandrel, that pin will move. So if you tighten the knob on the right, the pin will move to the right. If you tighten the knob to the left, the pin will move to the left. That's not a problem until you get used to, or somebody has a habit of always tightening the same knob, and it moves the pin all the way over to one side or the other, and then it bottoms out. Then you won't actually be able to tighten it. Okay, now he's going to go over to the other side of the machine and going to load the end plate onto the core chuck, which is a expanding core chuck to hold all the cardboard cores plus the flanges. And then what we're doing here is we're loading the media through the side of the machine. This is where it's going to split the matrix or weed away the scrap. That's going to go to the right onto the take-up reel, while the narrow rolls of labels are going to be wound up on the left on the expanding chuck. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to start it by pulling up the scrap matrix. Okay, so you have to feed that through. You'll see there between those two aluminum struts. And then you're just going to pull that down, wind it up on the scrap take-up core. And then as you wind that up, it'll basically spit out the printed media on the left. So you see here now the operator is putting a flange or a separator plate on the rewinder. You'll see the rewinder on the left is slowly turning. What we're doing there, since we haven't tightened the expanding core chuck on that rewinder, what it's doing is it's keeping the first strip of labels semi-taut, and then so he'll put a flange on here, and then followed by another core, and then he'll pull the next strip of labels out. And what he's going to do now is just put a piece of tape on the leading end of that label, and then followed by another separator plate. So once all the separator plates and the leading edge of the narrow rolls of labels are taped to the core, he's putting the last end plate on there, and then he will then hold on to the core on his left and then tighten it on his right. So that red knob is what expands it. So now you can see here it's winding away. This is the fun part. This is where you get to adjust. And this is a little you have to stand there, and you want to peel up the scrap, but you need to rewind the labels too. So it's a little dance between peeling up the scrap. Is that going too fast, or are you pulling the labels too fast, and then you have to increase the speed on the scrap? The scrap rewinder will spin or will take it up a lot faster than the other rewinder, but it works really well. And as you can see, he gets to the end here. So when he gets to the end, it just goes solid because we're done cutting. The plotter got done cutting there. So he's cutting it off, and then he'll go back, turn the rewinder off, and then cut the ends of the strips off. Then he just loosens the core chuck, takes the end plate off, and there you have a beautiful narrow roll of labels. Okay, that's the end of the tutorial video. And thank you for purchasing the Fast Finish Stripper Rewinder from Graphic Marking Systems.